I've listened to Full Moon Fever by Tom Petty for 6 months.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me is Connor.
I'm free falling.
Yeah, good. I'm sure you won't back down from that. I'd feel a whole lot better if you weren't free falling. I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed about a Tom Petty episode. I hope you are too. I mean, I expect you to know roughly half of this album.
Only half? That's all I gotta get?
Well, yeah, I think so. As a singles listener who likes this, 70s, 80s rock kind of music, I feel like you gotta know Tom Petty, right?
Oh, yeah. That's why I was surprised I only had to know 6.
Well, this whole album wasn't made up of singles, but it is made up of a lot of really good songs.
It's made up of a lot of really good songs.
Yeah, and I had a hard time picking what Tom Petty album to do, to be honest, and I'm a little disappointed that Full Moon Fever, it's the one I went with. It's got big hits, Free Fallin' and Love is a Long Road and Runnin Down A Dream, and just so many big ones, but...
I won't back down.
And I won't back down, but you know what it doesn't have?
It doesn't have... I don't know which one are you referring to that it doesn't have. There's a couple you can name.
It doesn't have the Heartbreakers. This is like a weird, Tom Petty solo album. He's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on a lot of releases, and Full Moon Fever.
But we're not doing them. That'll be a different episode. We're just doing Tom Petty.
Oh, that's smart. That's a way to sneak him back in.
Exactly.
No, but I had a hard time picking, and I did end up with this one because it's just there's...
His heart is intact.
Right.
You could even say it has a heart of it, a mind of its own.
Oh, yeah. His heart
has a mind of its own.
Yeah, I guess the Heartbreakers have a mind of their own, at least, because they're not here. Actually, a lot of them are, and we'll talk about that, because it's kind of still a Heartbreakers included album.
Well, let's jump into it.
Yes?
Tell me everything I need to know about this Tom Petty solo album.
I can't tell you everything you need to know, but I can tell you a lot of what you might want to know.
I'll have to settle for that.
It'll have to do. You'll feel a whole lot better when I'm done. I have been looking forward to this episode for a long time, for reasons I'll talk about with the Mixtaper, but...
Okay.
I know. I know. So Tom Petty was born in Gainesville, Florida in October of 1950. That I cannot believe. 1950 is a while ago. And he grew up right in the heart of the genesis of rock and roll, right? He's becoming a teenager as rock and roll music is kind of hitting its early peaks. His mother worked in a tax office and his father was a traveling salesman. Neither of them were super duper musically inclined. His uncle Earl, though, worked on movie sets, and that would turn out to be a very important connection for Tom. In 1961, when he was 10 years old, Uncle Earl invited Lil Tommy to check out a movie that he was working on. Cool stuff, right? Get to go over see a movie set. They go over on a filming day to check things out. Tom's walking all around, taking in the sights. The movie was called Follow That Dream, a musical comedy that's based on a book.
Oh.
Do you know Follow That Dream?
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I know who's in it.
I thought you might. Tom Petty also discovered who was in it that day. He ran into the star of the show while he was on set and got to watch him act. He saw this movie star. He said that he seemed to step out as radiant as an angel. He seemed to glow and walk above the ground. It was like nothing I had ever seen in my life.
It's because he's an alien.
Because he's not an alien.
Men in Black taught me that. He didn't die. He just went home.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen Men in Black.
Oh, that reference would have gone a lot better if you had.
Well, it did not. It's a flop for me. Maybe the audience got it and laughed. But he gets home and he can't wait to tell his friend about this experience and about meeting a movie star. He starts raving about the movie and he mentions that he got to see this movie star. He said, I got to meet this guy. Have you heard of him? His name is Elvis Presley. And his friend was like, what? Elvis makes music, right?
Never heard of him.
No. Tom said, no, I did not know that Elvis Presley made music. What are you talking about? And so his friend offered to trade him some Elvis records in exchange for his slingshot. And Tom Petty, sure enough, he handed over that slingshot, took his little Elvis 45s home, and before long, he was spinning Elvis records constantly. I wasn't actually surprised that you knew Follow That Dream, because I know you're an Elvis guy, but Tom Petty became an Elvis guy too. He loved the man. He bought himself an acoustic guitar, and he taught himself to play along with those records. Elvis is pretty much the spark that set Tom Petty on fire and inspired him to, if I may, follow that dream. Get it? Because that's the name of the movie, the thing.
Oh, I see. Follow that dream.
Following that dream, he did. He also started to take music lessons, although apparently there's some dispute about whether it was on the guitar or the piano. Either way, he's taken music lessons from fellow Gainesvillian and future member of the Eagles, Don Felder. Talked about him in episode 85. So, teenage Tom Petty is already embarked on his own rock and roll journey when, in 1964, he witnesses more rock and roll history in the making. Like millions of Americans, he has got his eyes glued to the TV when the Beatles make their first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. Allegedly, even more popular than Count Basie. Iconic performance.
I don't know about all that.
I mean, I did, and I just let the Mixtaper lie to me about it.
Yeah.
I feel bad about that even still.
As you should.
I know. Well, Tom said, the minute I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and it's true of thousands of guys, there was the way out. There was a way to do it. You get your friends, and you're a self-contained unit, and you make music. And it looked like so much fun. It was something I identified with. I had never been hugely into sports. I had been a big fan of Elvis, but I really saw in the Beatles that here is something I could do. I knew I could do it, and it wasn't long before there were groups springing up in garages all over the place. And soon enough, he was a part of one of those groups. In the early 70s, Petty founded a band called the Epics that would evolve into a group called Mudcrutch. The band had a little limited local success, but it did provide an opportunity for Petty to connect and play with guitarist Mike Campbell and Benmont Tench.
I wonder how you come up with that name, Mudcrutch.
I don't know. Maybe someone hurt their ankle and was trying to use crutches to get around and put one in the mud.
I'm saying you could give me like a million bands to name, and I don't think I'd name a single one Mudcrutch.
Well, no, that one's taken.
So I couldn't still use it
That's true.
illegally.
You're right, though. That is a weird name. I kind of wish I knew the origins of that.
Seems pretty untaken right about now.
Yeah, he did give that one up. That's about the equivalent of the Doobie Brothers calling themselves Pud. Mudcrutch. No, they were a real group. Mudcrutch, okay, was active till 1975 and then reformed in 2007 and went till 2017. I mean, with Tom Petty up until his death. Mudcrutch was around the entire run.
That's nuts.
I mean, they had a long stretch of being broken up, but yeah, they fully came back and had another decade in the early 2000s.
Wow.
So he didn't give it up, and it would be illegal.
Pretty open now.
Well, the origins of Mudcrutch, anyway, is what led to the Heartbreakers, because Mike Campbell and Benmont Tench stick with Tom Petty and become the Heartbreakers, along with bassist Ron Blair and drummer Stan Lynch. So there you go. Out of the old comes the new. Their self-titled debut album actually got more traction across the pond in England than it did in the US. It also spawned two enduring singles that you may know, Breakdown and American Girl, two of their all-time greatest hits, just right off the bat on the first album.
Yeah.
Amazing.
American Girl.
Oh, yeah?
That was the song you just mentioned, right?
All right.
Isn't that what you just said?
Take It Easy, Connor. Make It Last All podcast. Yeah, that's the one I just said.
That was the song he ended his last ever public performance with.
I think I encountered that fact too. I think that's true.
So, first to last.
My guess, career spanning. Yeah, American Girl was the last song performed in concert. I actually just recently, since putting this episode on the docket, I have ranked and scored Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, their first album. So that's been a lot of fun. I've been on a real Tom Petty kick for the last 8 months.
I don't know why, but when you said Tom Petty right there, my brain immediately went to Whoa Black Betty, but replaced Black Betty with Tom Petty.
Whoa, Tom Petty. Bam-ba-lam. Tom Petty had a band, Bam-ba-lam. The band's name was Mudcrutch, Bam-ba-lam. Doesn't rhyme as well, but that's pretty good. Yeah, so Breakdown and American Girl, right? Big first album. Major hits. Breakdown actually did enter the US Top 40 after being re-released and being featured in the soundtrack to the movie FM. Have you seen FM?
I use their radio all the time.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, but boy, do I love the airwave. Yeah. Based on the success of those singles, though, the Heartbreakers' second record, You're Gonna Get It, was their first to go gold, and it really helped grow their domestic base. And this era, 1978 onward, kind of begins Tom Petty's history of conflict with record labels. He was a very stubborn guy in the industry. The band's label was acquired by MCA Records, right? Just normal, I guess, record label stuff to buy and transfer ownership and all that stuff. But Tom was not a fan of being forced onto a different record label. He tried everything, even going so far as to declare bankruptcy. But he just could not escape this deal. And they eventually decided to settle their differences. for a time. It came back. But that's later. Damn the Torpedoes was the band's next release. It is chock full of hits. Oh my gosh. Refugee, Don't Do Me Like That, Even the Losers, Here Comes My Girl, Rockin' Record, amazing. I also scored that one. Since Full Moon Fever was my first full Tom Petty album after knowing the greatest hits, I've also gone back to Damn the Torpedoes and even farther back to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and you better believe there will be more on the horizon. Damn the Torpedoes quickly sold 1 million units, went platinum, and Don't Do Me Like That became the band's first top 10 single, with Refugee not far behind at number 15. The label suddenly realizes, hey, these Heartbreaker guys might be a pretty good deal for us. Might be pretty big. So when the band prepares to put out their next album, Hard Promises, the label tries to sneak an extra $1 superstar pricing upcharge on the CD, right? All their biggest bands, they would sell the CDs for $9.98 instead of $8.98 like standard records. Tom Petty's like, WTF? What are you doing? You can't do that. I'm not in favor of this. And so he almost refused to deliver the album altogether. He almost just didn't even give it to him unless they lowered the price. He went public with it and was really, really vocal about how much he disliked it. And he's like, I don't want you to pay extra for my music. Public, like, this is not my choice. And MCA ended up actually backing down and not raising the price after all. But you can imagine that probably did not go well. Just a little more tension, a little more fuel to the fire.
You know what else he threatened during that argument?
What's that? To name the album 898?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did know that.
I wasn't sure if you came across that. Threatened to rename the album.
Which is hilarious, by the way. Here's 898. You could buy it for $9.98.
Yeah.
He's a clever guy in his dispute resolution, that's for sure. By 1985, the Heartbreakers would release 2 more albums, Long After Dark and Southern Accents, and they also appeared at Live Aid in Philadelphia. They even got invited to tour with Bob Dylan, and that was also, again, very pivotal moment for Tom Petty. That led to him being involved with the Travelling Wilburys, a bona fide folk and roots rock supergroup that consists of absolute legends like Bob Dylan, former Beatle George Harrison, rock legend Roy Orbison, and Electric Light Orchestra founder Jeff Lynne. It all came about because they all featured on a bonus track for one of George's singles, and they decided the song was just too good for it to be a one-off thing. So they did an album, and then they did another as the Travelling Wilburys. It's kind of neat. They all have little different personas as a part of the Wilbury family, and
again, what a name.
Yeah, well, they came up with the name the Travelling Wilburys because I actually know that one. When they were recording songs, they were having some equipment issues, and George Harrison was like, we can't play so loud or else we'll bury them in the mix, right? We'll play too loud and we'll bury them. And so they said, okay, Wilbury, that's pretty fun. That's pretty cool.
Wild.
So they kept that. And then George wanted to call them the Trembling Wilburys, but Jeff Lynne is the one that said, Trembling is not quite it. What if we did Traveling Wilburys and made it like an old-timey, like, circus kind of group? So folk rock supergroup, what do you know? Basically, the point is, Tom Petty is busy in the last few years of the 80s. He's touring. He and the Heartbreakers are releasing massive albums. He's with the Traveling Wilburys, but does he slow down? No. In fact, he speeds up. And that is where we're at with Full Moon Fever. In 1988, Tom Petty decides to try his hand at a solo album, in quotes. Solos in quotes. It's very much a group effort, but the group is large, and he's doing it without the Heartbreakers officially. Full Moon Fever is the result of that effort. And funny enough, all but one Heartbreaker is on the album anyway. So it's solo, but like, not really. But yeah, it is. But no, it's not. Petty actually wrote and produced a lot of the album with ELO's Jeff Lynne from the Travelling Wilburys, who contributed to its polished, crisp, smoother sound, and some of the more unique instrumental choices. Those kind of can be traced back to Jeff Lynne and his influence. He tried to keep the recording pretty casual and low-key for the record. They did a lot of it in Mike Campbell's garage studio, and he invited members of his band and the Travelling Wilburys over to contribute as needed. He actually, in later days, would look back on Full Moon Fever as the most enjoyable record he ever made. And I feel like that shows in the songs and in the style of it. I just feel like you could tell that he's having fun and really enjoying the process. Full Moon Fever came out on April 24th, 1989, and it wound up being Tom Petty's career apex. Effectively, it's his biggest hit record, period. I mean, Heartbreakers or no, it's enormous. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and number 8 in the UK. 2 of its 5 singles ended up in the US top 20. 3 of them also topped the US mainstream rock charts, and Full Moon Fever would go on to be more than 5 times platinum in the US and 6 times platinum in Canada. Critics also were pretty big fans. AllMusic called it a minor masterpiece, Rolling Stone called it masterful, and eventually ranked it at number 298 on their list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, so that's pretty cool. And again, man, it's just a record of hits. Tom Petty himself would go on to release 2 more solo albums, and then 6 more with the Heartbreakers, bringing his total up to 16 records, plus 2 Travelling Wilburys records. Greatest hits from his later years, post Full Moon Fever, include Learning to Fly, Mary Jane's Last Dance, I Won't Back Down, Wildflowers, You Wreck Me, a lot more. Man, Tom Petty just has some great singles. The early 2000s saw Tom Petty host his own radio show, headline Bonnaroo, perform at the Super Bowl halftime show in 2008, and a lot more. The band also toured extensively all over the world. It was a wild time. But as he got older, he started to suffer from some chronic injuries and pains. He had knee trouble, and he had a fractured hip, emphysema, a few other things just compounded and compiled, and really just led to a pretty steep decline in his health. On October 16th, 2017, Tom Petty actually passed away from an accidental overdose from all the different medications he was trying to balance for these different ailments. He was only 66 years old, and it took the music world totally by surprise. I mean, I remember decently vividly hearing about Tom Petty's death everywhere in 2017. I don't know. Celebrity deaths are never something I feel like you keep up on, but did Tom Petty's hit you? Did you hear about it?
I'm sure I heard about it.
Oh, fair enough.
I keep up on it relatively, but more in like pop culture guy.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to hear more about actors and actresses than music stars.
Oh, fair enough. Well, as for the awards and the accolades he earned over the course of an abbreviated lifetime, he is quite an awarded guy. First of all, I think his biggest achievement is that I feel like everybody knows a Tom Petty song or two. And that's not a thing many artists can say. But like, everybody knows Free Fallin', right?
Who doesn't?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just putting it out there. I think that in itself is a major achievement. But more tangibly, in 1996, he earned UCLA's George and Ira Gershwin Award for Lifetime Musical Achievement and an ASCAP Golden Note Award. 3 years later, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers would get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001, and in 2006, Tom Petty received the key to the city of Gainesville. In 2005, he earned the Billboard Century Award, which is the highest honor that they bestow, and after his death, Gainesville named a park after him where he grew up. And in 2021, the University of Florida awarded him with an honorary PhD. Also, Tom Petty is ranked the 91st greatest artist of all time by Rolling Stone, and 3 of his records ended up on their 500 greatest albums of all time list. I think Full Moon Fever was the highest, pretty sure. So there you go. Also, one last little trivia tidbit that I found and was really fun. Tom Petty inadvertently inspired another song that we have loosely discussed on this podcast before.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure you do remember because it was kind of your thing. Remember Miley's Edge of Midnight remix that interpolated Stevie Nicks' Edge of 17?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, Tom Petty and his first wife, Jane Benyo, met at the age of 17. And when Jane Benyo met Stevie Nicks for the first time and was talking about that fact to her, relaying their love story, Stevie Nicks misheard her accent, and she thought that Jane had said Edge of 17 instead of Age of 17, which is the title that led to the hit song. So there you go.
Fascinating.
I know, without Tom Petty, we might never have Miley Cyrus' Edge of Midnight.
Well, it's more without Tom Petty's accent-ridden wife.
Well, that's true, but without him, his wife wouldn't have met anyone at the age of 17. Maybe.
She would have met someone, I'm sure.
Right.
Go a whole year without meeting someone? That'd be crazy.
I know, but would it have been someone who would know Stevie Nicks?
Maybe that was a flashpoint.
Oh, a canon event for the timeline. Maybe. But that's all I've got about Tom Petty. That's all the stuff that you maybe need to, but definitely wanted to know. And now I'm ready to play some Factor Spin.
Where you're going to learn some things you definitely didn't need or wanted to know, probably.
I've been excited for this. I really do want to know.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I guess let's get him out here.
Get the Mixtaper on in here.
All right. Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Ooh, Mixtaper. Hi, welcome to the podcast.
I have a new goal in life.
Oh, what's your new goal?
I've decided I want to follow in Tom Petty's footsteps.
You want to follow in Tom Petty's footsteps and what, become a legendary rock musician?
No. I want to get the keys to the city.
Oh, what city.
I mean, if I'm following in his footsteps, he doesn't need his key anymore to Gainesville. So just give me his.
Oh, you want to reclaim Tom Petty's old key to Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah, imagine being able to go anywhere you wanted in the city. Have a key.
Well, I don't think that's quite how...
Get yourself wherever you wanted to go.
No,
For a supervillain like me?
that's not how keys to the city work.
What?
Well, it's just, it's ceremonial. It's symbolic. I bet it doesn't even unlock anything, to be honest.
It unlocks the hearts of millions.
Well, that's fair. And you could definitely do that without the physical key. And also, I'm pretty sure the population of Gainesville isn't millions. So it could unlock the heart of roughly 145,200 people.
I'll take it.
Baby steps.
First 145,200, then the world.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Anyway.
Mixtaper, I feel like you should thank me this week.
Yeah?
Yes. Here's why.
Yeah, well, you should welcome me, so...
I already did. I guess I said welcome to the podcast, and now it's your turn.
Oh, usually the welcome comes after the thank you.
Well, then it will, but you still have to thank me first? I don't know.
What do you want me to thank you for first?
I have had a Tom Petty biography in my possession for months, and I've wanted to read it so badly, and I've waited.
Sorry, you want thanked for that?
Yeah, I said I know we're going to do a Tom Petty episode, and the Mixtaper would be so mad if I went and read a biography and then suddenly knew, like, everything. It would be so hard to find facts, and I just didn't want to unlevel the playing field in my favor. So I waited months and months.
Yeah, you didn't want to use insider knowledge to give yourself an advantage? I'm sorry.
No, if I have the insider knowledge, that's one thing. But if I seek it out, that feels cheating.
It's still illegal to use insider knowledge to gain a favorable situation.
Right. Well, anyway, I didn't read the biography, and as soon as this episode's done, I can.
Well, you realize you're not allowed to now until we also do an episode on Tom Petty and the
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers? No!
You've doomed yourself.
Oh, man. That's, Well, we'll see how this goes, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
My point is, I'm ready to hear what you found.
All right, well, he incepted a song.
Well, like, so in the movie Inception, the person who is asleep is the one that gets incepted. And the people who go into the dream are the ones who do the incepting.
Yep.
So if Tom Petty incepted a song, if you're basing this on the movie Inception, that means he went into someone's dreams and put the song there.
Bold of you to assume I'm basing this on the movie Inception.
I know. Well, that's why I clarified, because you very well may not be.
But also, yeah, that's what I'm claiming.
Really? How do you mean? Was someone listening to Tom Petty when they were asleep?
Somebody wrote a famous song that he ended up getting co-writing credits on because it sounded too much like one of his songs. But they were not familiar with his song.
Darn it.
So they thought.
Mixtaper, I don't want to engage in insider trading here.
Oh, no.
But are you talking about Sam Smith and Stay With Me? And how it sounds exactly like I Won't Back Down?
Well, good thing I brought a bonus fact.
Okay, so good. We'll just scrub that one.
So I started with this one. Figured it was the only one I was worried about you knowing.
Yeah. And it would make too much sense. I mean, I know Stay With Me. It does sound an awful lot like I Won't Back Down.
Yeah.
But you say he incepted it, that just, it was unconsciously implanted in Sam Smith's mind?
Yeah, he had no knowledge of the song, but as soon as he listened to it, he went, yeah, that sounds a lot like what I wrote.
It's exactly the same.
And so they came to an amicable agreement where they just gave Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne co-writing credits.
A lot of co-writing credits, too. They got a big percentage of that song, which is good for them. Anyway, yeah, I did know that, and I just wanted to tell you as soon as I realized, so that didn't get out of hand, because I'm playing with integrity.
Yeah.
Didn't read the biography, still know all the facts. Okay.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Well, while we're already on the topic, you've mentioned he wasn't afraid to sue, and we just talked about a potential situation where suing could have happened, but then...
True.
So let's just jump right to, he hates tire companies.
Hates tire companies.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, who's the tire company out there that he hates? Is it Bridgestone and Cooper Tires? And I don't know. What are all the other ones? I don't know enough about tires. Why does he hate tire companies?
They use his music or rip off his music without his permission.
Oh, what of his music do they use? I mean, there's a good few Tom Petty songs that you could use for tire commercials, I guess.
Yeah, well, we've got two examples here.
Okay.
That's why I said he hates tire companies.
Right, plural, yeah.
First one, B.F. Goodrich.
Right, that's not a tire company I would have named. That's for sure.
They're number 5 on this top 10 list of tire companies.
Michelin's another one.
They're number 1.
Michelin's number one. Wow, I thought of him eventually. Mostly I just associate Michelin with the puffy mascot and the restaurant stars.
I also had to look up BF Goodrich when I came across this. I was like, what is this?
Maybe it's a regional thing. What'd BF Goodrich do?
Didn't take no for an answer.
Uh-oh, they asked and said no and said, well, it's still easier to ask for forgiveness. Asking for permission was pretty hard.
Their lawyer said ask for forgiveness, not permission. And they said, no, we'll get permission. And then that didn't happen. They went, all right, I guess forgiveness it is.
Plan B, you leave us no choice. We could do this the easy way or the hard way. What song did they use?
Well, they used an original song, please. They wouldn't just go stealing Tom Petty's Mary's New Car without his permission, when they could just as easily make a new song that was basically Mary's New Car, but with a different name.
They just ripped off Mary's New Car?
Yeah, pretty much.
What'd they turn it into?
I actually don't know.
Jerry's New Car.
Jerry's New Bar.
Whoa, that doesn't make sense for a tire commercial, but sure. So they make a parody kind of song. Tom Petty gets wind of this, and what's he do? Says,
It wasn't even really parody. It was really just I think they had a very specific vision for this ad and what the music needed to be. And so they tried to recreate it.
didn't want to give up.
But yeah, he was very mad. He said, we turned down a substantial sum of money to not be associated with their company, but now they're doing it anyway.
That's rough. Yeah. Why did he not want to be associated with them, especially for a substantial sum of money? Did he say? I mean, it's his prerogative, but...
Oh, well, yeah, I know how much.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm just asking why he doesn't
So-
want to be associated with them.
No, not that it was in this quote I found.
Okay.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but I guess on that note, too, how much did he turn down?
Oh, well, actually, I don't know that number. I just know how much he won in the lawsuit.
Oh, okay. Well, what's that?
Well, for that, we're going to have to play everybody's second favorite Spin a Cane show. Guess that dollar amount. I gave you so many options to get out of it.
I know. Well, I just wanted to know. I felt important and relevant. $5 million.
Ooh, too high for once.
Okay. That's good, though. That gives me a finite range to use. If I'm too low, the range is kind of infinite until I get too high. What about $1.5 million?
Still too high.
$750,000.
Too low.
Is it just $1 million?
It was just $1 million.
Okay. Decent sum.
But while you're at it, in the sub game to the game, go ahead and guess how much he got from Yokohama.
Okay. Well, what did they do?
They listened to their lawyer and just asked for forgiveness.
They just straight up took a song and stuck it in there, huh? Classic.
Sure did.
Which song did they use?
Coincidentally, also Mary's New Car,
Hey, it's good for tire commercials. They had a specific vision too.
but a Japanese version.
Oh, what if they had used the rip-off version too?
I don't know if a Japanese version exists or if they dubbed Japanese lyrics onto the song for their ad. I don't know that, but this ad was over in Japan.
Okay,
So just guess the US equivalent in what he won.
so he sues them for using the song without his permission. He wins another $1 million.
Higher.
Oh, $5 million. All
Lower.
right, well, we're back where we started. $2.3 million.
Close enough. 2.5 million.
That's exactly what I said. I knew it. Mary's New Car. Real popular song for tires, I guess.
Yeah, well,
And this is the only two times this has happened?
only two I found. I won't claim it's the only two.
Are there any other tire companies he hated for other reasons?
Do you know of one specific that you're surprised I'm not mentioning, or are you just... That's all I had. Now, if you have something to add...
That's just me checking.
Oh, okay. I thought the way you said it made me think you had something to add to this that I didn't know. It's like, you're going to add your own details to the fact?
Yeah, one time...
That'd be wild. Add your own details, but make them fake
Make 'em
and then
fake and
lock
then
in
it's a
spin.
spin.
Yeah. Wow. What a clever twist.
Wow, too bad I didn't think about that, and now you'll be thinking of it. I think this is a fact.
Going with fact this time.
I think so. It's a little suspicious
You went fact on the
on the Sam Smith one.
the mulligan. The
Yeah,
mulligan.
it's a mulligan. I'm not even counting that one. But yes, I'm going fact on tire companies. It's a little suspicious that there are only two and that they both use the same song. But sure, why not?
This is a spin.
Darn it. Really?
Because there's more than two. No, okay.
Oh, no! I knew it.
It's actually because there's less than two. Only one of those was true.
Uh-huh. Which one? Was it the American one that faked Mary's New Car?
Yeah, BF Goodrich.
Okay.
That one was real. And then I added Yokohama to make it a spin.
Well, that's a bummer. Next week, we're doing an artist who has run into similar problems. And so, I mean, having already taken notes for them, my brain was also already in that headspace. So, well, I'm 1 for 2.
Well, while we're on the topic of suing,
Relevant, yeah. Are these all facts about Tom Petty lawsuits?
they're not, but I had two of them, and one of them was the backup, and so they both made their way in.
Well, the Sam Smith one was about an almost lawsuit.
He was lucky.
He was lucky? Mm-hmm. Is that lucky like a normal adjective or lucky like the proper noun, like he played the Lucky Charms mascot, the leprechaun?
It would be a noun in this scenario.
It'd be a noun?
Yeah, it was his nickname he got.
He was lucky because his nickname was Lucky. Got it.
See what I did there?
Yeah, it's strange that it just was that anyway. I really just thought it'd be an adjective, and I thought I was being funny.
Yeah.
Well, how's he get the nickname Lucky? Finding lots of four-leaf clovers?
Winning a lawsuit.
Well, yeah. Seems like he's got a good knack for that.
One of his first lawsuits.
Well, what's this first lawsuit about?
Well, he slipped and fell.
Oh, like a wet floor sign situation?
Well, yeah, it was a wet floor.
Right, but there was no sign, which is why he probably was able to sue, right?
I would assume, sure.
Well, what kind of wet floor was it? Where was he?
Well, he had to use the bathroom in Costco.
As one does.
And he went to the bathroom and slipped on a puddle of urine.
Oh, that's a wet floor.
Yeah. The injury left him with constant pain, apparently. Probably contributed to some of that medicine he was on.
Some of that back pain forever.
Yeah. But he sued the store and received $53,000 in a cash settlement.
That's like 53,000 hot dogs. Well.
Yeah, well.
It's, it's $1.50 and I don't want to do all the math. You get the idea.
But his friends gave him the nickname Lucky.
When did this happen?
When he was 38, so whatever year that is.
Right, 1988.
Sounds about right.
Right before Full Moon Fever.
Oh, really? Wow.
Maybe that's what inspired Free Fallin'. It started out as P Fallin'.
Amazing.
And then he just had to change it.
'Cause I'm P Fallin'. Insane.
Oh, no. That's a hard one. When was Costco around? I don't even know. I didn't hear of it for a long time, but that's because there were no Costcos where I'm from.
September 15th of 1983.
Okay. So Tom Petty might have been their first casualty.
Dang.
I think this is a spin.
Going with spin.
Yeah, I think his nickname maybe was Lucky, but I don't know if I buy the whole Costco slip and fall story.
This is technically a true fact.
Now, hold on, though. We can't get technical. What's technically true?
Not a single thing I said was false. I just left out a key piece of information you didn't ask.
Uh-huh.
If this happened in real life.
Okay. This is like a scripted thing? A dream? What's happened?
It happened in a TV show that he was a part of.
Uh-huh. Which TV show?
Where he indeed got the nickname Lucky at the age of 38 when he had an incident at Costco where he slipped on a puddle of pee and got $53,000 in a cash settlement.
Yeah.
So everything I said was true. So I think this is a true fact. Sorry.
I don't know about that, though. He didn't, though. Tom Petty wasn't lucky. His character was lucky.
I said he. I didn't say Tom Petty.
I don't know if that's true. We'll have to check the tapes.
I also don't know if it's true, but that's what I'm going to stick to.
I don't know if that's technically a fact.
I think it is. Yeah, this was his character on King of the Hill.
Right, he was in King of the Hill. I knew that.
Yep, I thought you might.
Is Costco as a brand in King of the Hill?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that. I thought they just did whatever generic brand Supermart that blew up. Wow.
But yeah, it happened when they created the character for the show in 2004. And somebody involved said that the character looked like Tom Petty without the success.
Nice.
And so then they suggested that they pitch the character to Petty, who, according to showrunner Mike Judge, had so much fun at the table read that he offered the voice the role at any time they wanted.
That's amazing.
And he went on to appear on the show 28 times between 2004 and 2009.
What a quality show. King of the Hill is very funny.
Yep.
And can I also say that this didn't happen in 1988 like you said it did? Can that count?
I didn't say it took place in 1998. You did. I said it took place when he was 38 years old, and you went, oh, so 1998. I said, yeah, maybe.
Well, but that wasn't him being 38. It was the character.
Once again, I said he. I never said Tom Petty was 38. I said he.
I don't know. We'll have to maybe dispute that sometime. Stay tuned. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. That Mixtaper ain't right.
I listened to mine and decided to ask for forgiveness.
Fair enough. Honestly, you should give me the point. Don't be petty.
This is the episode to be petty. I'm trying to be more like Tom.
I guess if there ever was one. Don't be Tom. Don't be Tom with me.
We'll see how the rest of them go.
Yeah, I guess we will.
You played with integrity. I might.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I straight up ditched that first fact.
We'll see how the other two go. He's a friend of the postman.
Why did you say it so passively? A friend of the postman? Why isn't he the postman's friend? Why? Does he just like getting letters a lot? Does he send a lot of letters? Does he tip well? I don't know anybody that tips postmen, but maybe. That'd make me a good friend if you tipped me and I was a postman.
That's merely just a reference to the fact that he was in the movie The Postman, starring Kevin Costner.
Oh, okay, we're being upfront about him being in a movie this time.
Yeah.
What's the movie The Postman with Kevin Costner?
You've never heard of that? Oh, I love that movie. I feel like I've talked about it before.
It's very possible.
I feel like I've talked about it before on this podcast, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so.
I've talked about it somewhere, maybe on a stream we did. I don't know. I feel like I've talked about it here recently.
Well, we just talked about stamps.
It's been a while since I've given you a Wikipedia summary, so here we go.
Oh, no.
The Postman is a 1997 American epic post-apocalyptic adventure film produced and directed by Kevin Costner, who plays
That post.
the lead role. Based on David Brent's 1985 book of the same name, the film also features Tom Petty. It is set in a post-apocalyptic and neo-Western version of the established United States in the then near future year of 2013, 16 plus years after unspecified apocalyptic events followed by plagues left a huge impact on human civilization. Like the book, the film follows the story of a nomadic drifter, played by Kevin Costner, who stumbles across the uniform of a United States Postal Service mail carrier and starts his path to become a national hero.
That sounds ridiculous and not like what I expected it to be, even a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's Tom Petty play?
I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but from what I remember, basically he's traveling from town to town when he agrees to help this couple who can't have a kid the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
And then the father of supposed to be kid gets murdered by the bad guy, and then he feels a sense of honor to the mother to not make her a single mom, and like tries to protect her and his unborn kid.
Okay.
That's what I remember from it. I don't know how much of that is relevant to the actual plot, but that's to me what the main plot is.
It could just be like the first act of the movie. Yeah. What's Tom Petty doing this?
Being remembered for being famous.
Well, he's like a former celebrity from before the apocalypse?
Yeah.
Weird.
Kevin Costner, when like he meets him, he's like, I recognize you. You were famous. And he goes, yeah, I was. Not anymore. And then later in the movie, when that guy finds out that Kevin Costner is the postman, he goes, wait, I've heard of you. You're famous.
Oh, fun. So it's kind of just like a cameo role then?
Yeah, he also confiscates his gun. It's kind of it's a small role.
Okay. Friend of the postman. Well, I think I'm going to call this one a fact.
Going with fact.
Yeah, it seems like Tom Petty, I mean, we know he's an actor, and this is a movie, so that all checks out.
This is a true fact.
Woohoo! Okay, Tom Petty the postman. A friend of the postman. Post pal.
Post pal. Here's a link to the scene.
Here's a link to a Bing search result for the scene, you mean?
Yeah, well, I was too lazy to open YouTube.
Let me just go Google this Bing link.
Oh, it is Bridge City. Look at that. Oh, the horse doesn't like that they don't allow guns.
There he is. That's Tom Petty.
Watch how that horse reacts.
Oh, that's the guy from Field of Dreams. If you build Bridge City, they'll come. Tom Petty looks weirdly happy throughout this whole scene.
So yeah, that was the scene.
That's Tom Petty.
Pretty much as I described it.
It sure is. Interesting. It's a strange sounding movie. Kind of surreal.
Yeah. In my head, this movie came out around the same time as Waterworld, but that could just be because I had the packaged DVD that had them both in it. It was like a 2 DVD set.
Oh, big fan. Double feature.
Yeah, both of them oddly similar. Probably why they were packaged together.
Waterworld came out in 95. So yeah, they're close.
Yeah, so I don't know if either one really performed well when they came out, but I remember them both fondly, and I think they're remembered fondly.
47% on Rotten Tomatoes for the Waterworld. The Postman
All right, maybe not.
has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oof.
29% from TV Guide, and that's from all the old people that should like it most.
I liked The Postman, but I was like in middle school when I watched it, so.
2008 Connor liked The Postman, and we see where that got him.
Yeah, well, he's dead now. My last fact for you.
All right, number 5 of 4.
He almost prevented Earth's mightiest defenders.
Earth's mightiest defenders. Well, Earth's mightiest heroes are the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, who's Earth's mightiest defenders? Is that different, or is that the same thing?
Well, those who defend us against the greatest threat to civilization as we know it.
Okay, what, in your point of view, are Earth's mightiest defenders?
Well, it's those that defend us against the Foo Birds.
The Foo Birds? Fake birds?
Yeah, and who defends us against the Foo Birds? But
the
Foo Fighters.
Good grief. Okay.
He almost prevented the Foo Fighters.
Right.
That's where we're going here.
The Foo Birds was last week
Yep.
with Count Basie, but the Foo Fighters
Uh-huh.
is a long time ago. We talked about them, Color and the Shape.
Yep.
He almost prevented the Foo Fighters.
Sure did.
How so? Did he almost like poach Dave Grohl?
Yeah, before he founded them.
Interesting. I think we talked about how Dave Grohl was approached by other artists to join bands as drummers, and his rationale was, I don't want to just be a drummer in a band. I want to do my own thing, and I have a lot more to offer. And that's what led to him doing the Foo Fighters.
Dave Grohl was approached by a lot of people.
He sure was.
One of which being Tom Petty, or at least that's what I'm claiming.
I can't remember if Tom Petty was one that we talked about. Oh, come on. It's only been, what's this episode, 164? Okay, it's only been 37 weeks. Surely I can think back that far. I can't. Why did Tom Petty pick Dave Grohl? I mean, he's got drummers in the Heartbreakers.
Well, at first he just needed a fill-in.
That's funny. Needing a drum fill is very funny.
Specifically for his SNL performance.
Oh, interesting.
In 1994.
Tom Petty's going to go on SNL, needs a drummer, tries to recruit Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl goes? Doesn't go.
Well, Dave Grohl's manager calls him up and says, hey, Tom Petty just called and wants to know if you'll play drums with them on Saturday Night Live. And he goes, what the F is he calling me for? He couldn't find a good drummer? Of course I'll do it.
Of course. Good. Very good. Very Dave Grohl-y. Yeah. That makes sense. And so he did go for the one-off performance.
Yeah.
And it went poorly.
Yeah, it went well.
And Tom Petty invites him to stay with the band.
Yeah.
Spin. I think this is a spin. I think everything about it is true except the invitation to stay on. Because, I mean, in 1990-something, when Nirvana's breaking up, Tom Petty's doing Wildflowers. I don't know if he's, like, looking for heavy drumming, and especially not the kind of stuff Dave Grohl is about.
So like an spin?
Yeah, I think this is a spin.
Well, in that case, I will be lenient and show integrity and give you back your King of the Hill point.
Oh, really?
That I rightfully earned, so that we go 50-50 this week, because this is a true fact.
Wow. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I'm glad you decided not to be Tom Petty and let me have that one back. I did not expect that to be true.
Yeah, he, needed his help after they fired drummer Stan Lynch. And then after that performance, offered him the spot to join the Heartbreakers. And he decided, this was while he was in the middle of recording his solo demos that would become Foo Fighters' first album. And he decided he wanted to pursue that.
Rightfully so. Tom Petty didn't want to be his monkey wrench. Well, fantastic. 50-50 on Tom Petty is not too bad. And now I feel like I can go read that biography.
Yeah, well, we already talked about how you can't do that until we do Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
I did have a couple other fun things, but I decided to save them.
So you've already got stuff saved. Oh, man. Maybe I'll do it and I won't tell you.
Well, that is always an option, but I'll know in my heart.
I'll ask for forgiveness. My lawyers have advised me to ask for forgiveness.
You've already asked for permission.
I'm doing the Goodrich tires. I'm doing the BF Goodrich approach. And I'm going to ask you and then do it anyway.
Fair enough.
Oh, we'll see you next week. We can revive this good old-fashioned game show.
Yeah. Well, until then. Yeah.
There he goes, away into the full moon. Welcome back, Connor.
You're so bad.
Yeah, I know. You were dependent on me, and I let you down. How could I beat him so bad? He's just running down a dream to pay off his student loans, you know?
Is it time to talk about that album art?
You know it is. This is what Tom Petty would look like if he was made of Superman ice cream. It's like reddish pink on top, yellow in the middle, blue on the bottom. And what's interesting about the album art here is it's rectangular inside a square.
Yeah.
It looks like a picture of a poster.
Sorry, it is a rectangle inside of another rectangle?
True. Interlaid rectangles. But one rectangle happens to be a square. And I think the reason they did that was because if they did it like this, they wouldn't have to change what the cover was for cassettes. The cassettes would just get the inner rectangle.
Oh.
And then CDs and vinyl gets the outer rectangle.
Wow.
It's kind of clever. I like it. It looks like a show poster, you know? Like, there's a company in Nashville that does it and makes show posters like this.
It does. That's what I thought it was, honestly.
It's kind of cool. It's not very full moony, although I guess the colors are kind of reminiscent of like a sunset over the ocean, but not much moon going on. It's Tom Petty with his guitar.
Back in our moon era.
I guess so. This is like a little nod to the moon era. Wait, we are. We'll get there. But this is like a baby moon era. You're right.
Wow.
New moon era. It's perfect. Anyway, let's talk about these songs that Connor may or may not have known half or more of. Up first, Free Fallin'. Did you know Free Fallin'?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Wow, that surprises me. It is probably Tom Petty's biggest song. I feel like there's almost no question. There's some other big ones, but I just don't think anything can touch Free Fallin' with a 10-foot pole.
I have such a fond memory of listening to this song.
Do you?
In the car.
Oh, I have a very fond memory of this song particularly as well. And for a minute, I thought we were going to say the same thing. But if you were in a car, then we don't.
Wait, well, hang on. What were you going to say? I'll change mine.
Oh, okay. Let me replace your fond memory. Think about this. I remember in high school, the last day of senior year, one of the teachers put on this song and was like, "You're free." And it was just a very great day. And this song was like the soundtrack to the end of it. And it was just really nice.
Was I? I was there for that memory, was I not?
You were there for that. And that's why I thought you were going to say the same thing. But no, you got a better Free Fallin' memory.
I don't have to replace anything. I can just have that memory.
Yeah, I know, but you have a better Free Fallin' memory, apparently.
Well, who says it's better?
You did.
I never said it was better than yours.
I don't know. It seemed that way.
Said I had a good one.
What's your good one?
Just of me singing the song in the car with the fam, all doing different parts and harmonizing.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
What part did you do? Did you do Tom Petty's part or Tom Petty's part?
I chose Tom Petty's part.
That's a good one. I guess you also could have done Jeff Lynne's part. Jeff Lynne co-wrote Free Fallin' with Tom Petty, and he plays the bass and he sings the background vocals.
Yeah.
So that joke didn't really work, but it did before you knew that. It was actually the first song that they finished for Full Moon Fever. They wrote and recorded Free Fallin' in a total of 2 days, which is just incredible. Tom Petty said, and it's a long quote, bear with me, buckle up. Tom Petty said, "Jeff Lynne and I were sitting around with the idea of writing a song, and I was playing the keyboard and just happened to hit on that main riff, the intro of the song. And I think Jeff said something like, 'That's really good, but there's one chord too many.' So I cut it back a chord, and then, just to amuse Jeff, I just sang that first verse," and he starts laughing. He said, "I got to the chorus of the song, and he leaned over to me and said the word free falling. And I went to sing that, and he said, 'No, take your voice up and see how that feels.' So I took my voice up an octave or two, but I couldn't get the word in. So I sang free and then free fallen. And we both knew at that moment I had hit on something pretty good. It was that fast."
Well, yeah. I mean, if you hit that, I think it should be that fast.
Yeah, when you strike gold, it's just there.
You know it pretty instantly.
He said Jeff Lynne had to go somewhere, and I wrote the last verse and kind of just polished the rest of the song. And when I saw him the next day, I played him the song, and he was like, "Wow, you did that last night?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "We've got to go cut this." And we just took off to Mike Campbell's studio, where we knew we could get it done that day. An overnight write for the biggest song of his career. Amazing. Big hit, too. It peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. Turns out, Free Fallin' would be Tom Petty's third and final top 10 song in the U.S. It also topped the U.S. Hot Rock and Alternative Songs chart and cracked the top 10 in 3 other countries. Rolling Stone ranked it the 219th greatest song of all time, and is certified gold in Denmark, platinum in the UK. I'm not sure whether it's certified in the US or not. I could not find a statistic on that, but it has to be, right?
Gotta be.
Iconic 12-string guitar. Maybe the most well-known use of a 12-string guitar in popular music, I think. There are some notable ones, but I really feel like Free Fallin' takes the cake. Because again, almost everybody has heard it. I like that the chorus is so simple. It's just free fallin'. But I love that it contrasts with the verse that's so specific and full of imagery.
Yeah.
Lyrically, he didn't write the song about one person or one thing in particular. It's just kind of an amalgamation of what he witnessed firsthand when he was walking actually down Ventura Boulevard. Kind of rolled it all up into this song, into this character of a good girl who, I mean, like Tom Petty himself, loves Elvis, among other things.
It's just such a good song.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that when it comes on my playlist, it's never a skip.
Never a skip, and in fact, almost always a crank it up a few notches.
I thought you were about to say almost always a fall.
No, well, it is free falling. Have you ever been free falling?
No, I have not. I don't even want to be controlled falling.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I don't think I've really free fallen either.
This is a conversation that I've had repeatedly, that I do not want to go skydiving.
Skydiving, well...
Which is like controlled falling.
I mean, for the first part, that's about as free as falling gets.
Yeah.
Just you, gravity, and all the air resistance you can muster hurtling towards Earth.
But yeah, then all the people that do like free jump...
Free jumping.
Jump off like cliffs and stuff.
Yeah. In the squirrel suits, that's wild.
Yeah, that stuff's nuts. No thank you.
Yeah. Well, what about controlled falling like on a roller coaster, right? Just like a dive more than a fall.
Depends. I'm not the biggest fan of roller coasters either.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
So here's my problem with roller coasters. Line's too long.
Right. Irrelevant.
Ride too short.
Okay. That's an actual complaint about a roller coaster.
The ride is so short. Why is that line so long? Why aren't we churning people in and out faster? It feels like I'm barely on the thing before I'm back off again. But that line does not move that fast.
Honestly, probably takes more time to get people on the cars than it does to get them through the ride.
Sometimes. Depends on the roller coaster. But then there are some roller coasters I actually really, really like. But then there's other ones. The seats are designed a little poorly. I'm actually a bigger fan. This is going to sound opposite of probably most people. I'm a bigger fan of like the strap you in by the shoulder ones than of the sit in the cart ones.
Oh, that does seem backwards, yeah.
And that's because a lot of the times in those ones where they strap you in, it never feels like they get the thing that keeps you in the cart, the little thing they lower down.
The bar?
They never feel like they get that good enough, because then when you go over that first hill, I feel like I'm about to fall completely out of the dang thing. It's like, no, thank you.
I don't want to be responsible for my survival in this situation.
Right? Like when I'm locked in by the shoulder, sure, am I getting whipped all around? That's kind of cool. My feet are all dangling. They're getting whipped all left and right. But I'm like secured. I'm not going anywhere. I don't feel like I'm slipping out of the harness or anything, right? Whereas like in the other one, you get going over that edge and like lifts you out of the seat a little bit up against the bar. And you're like, man, if this bar were to fail, or like if it didn't get lowered enough and I like moved the wrong way, I could go tumbling out of the thing.
Go free falling.
Yeah. But then I always enjoy it afterwards. Like I get off of it and the momentary panic turns into euphoric, like adrenaline, right? And I'm like, that was actually pretty fun. But in the moment, I hate it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's okay.
It's funny that the song is so relatable and cool, and so few of us have ever actually free fell.
But you have. I feel like most people have, right? I mean, have you ever fallen out of the bed when you were asleep as a kid, or off a couch, or like,
Well, but that's-
you have felt the sensation of falling and not wanting to.
Yeah, but that's like...
Of like being in a free fall where you can't stop yourself. It's that feeling, but times 10,000 feet or whatever, you know? Like,
Well, that's true, but I don't think that counts as a free fall if you just trip or something.
well, no, that's different. A trip is different. That's not the sensation I'm describing. I'm describing like you're dead asleep and you like roll off the couch or out of bed and you wake up mid-fall and there's that weightlessness sensation and momentary panic of I have no way of stopping this, and then you bam hit the ground, right?
True, or like severe turbulence on an airplane where your stomach drops. I can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a free fall.
Or like your dad takes a hill too hard with the car too fast and you like get a little air and your stomach drops.
Get a little jump.
Have you ever had that happen, or did I just have a reckless dad?
I don't know. It's happened. I've experienced that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so bad that people will like wake themselves up in dreams where they fall, right? And
Yeah.
they experience that sensation in their dream and wake up from it, and then they feel like they've experienced. Like, we all have that sensation of free falling. And then he describes it in a way that makes it so appealing.
Yeah, his free falling kind of sounds good.
If I was falling and I could just hear in my ears, free
Free
falling.
It'd probably be a lot better.
Yeah, it would be. Anyway, we talked a really long time about free falling.
It's a great song. It's the Tom Petty song. 4 minutes and 16 seconds.
I mean, the next one's pretty good too.
I Won't Back Down, you're right, is also pretty great. Back-to-back bangers here. I Won't Back Down
Won't back down.
sounds like that. And it was
won't back down. Sorry, go ahead.
He might sue us. We didn't ask for permission, that's for sure.
And I'm definitely not going to ask for forgiveness.
Well, I know. You're so bad. You're a mind with a heart of your own. I Won't Back Down was the lead single from Full Moon Fever. It hit number 12 on the Hot 100 and spent 5 weeks at the top of the album rock tracks chart. This is a wild one too. I Won't Back Down. I'm kind of surprised the Mixtaper didn't find or mention this, but Tom Petty was inspired to write this song after an arsonist burnt down his house
Yep.
with his family inside.
He found it.
Okay.
And was like, honestly, shocked it wasn't in the rundown. And then he went, there's no way he doesn't have this under the I Won't Back Down section of his notes.
That's true, I did. That is correct. Yeah, luckily, everyone made it out okay. That was all good. They never found out who did it.
But they lost like everything.
They lost a lot. And the attitude of defiance after it happened is really what he poured into this song. You tried to intimidate me, but I won't back down. He said, that song frightened me when I wrote it. I didn't embrace it at all. It's so obvious. I thought it wasn't that good because it was so naked, like emotionally. He said, I had a lot of second thoughts about recording it. I Won't Back Down. But everyone around me liked the song and said it was really good. And it turns out everyone was right. More people connect to that song than anything I ever wrote. I've had so many people tell me that it helped them through this or helped them through that. And I'm still continually amazed about the power a little 3-minute song has. Under 3 minutes, even.
I feel like that happens a lot with people who write from the heart in just such a raw form.
Mm-hmm. It's relatable. You can really connect to it. In the same way that you just connect to Free Fallin', you can really connect with I Won't Back Down.
Yeah, except most people have not experienced their house being burned down by an arsonist.
No, most people have not been the target of arson, but the song's not like super specifically about your house burning down. It's just that that's what happened to him that caused him to say, I won't back down. There ain't no easy way out, so I'm going to power through it and stand my ground. That's the relatable part. And for people, I guess, whose house was burned down, I guess it's all the more relatable. But I think that's part of what makes Tom Petty such a rock star that's so memorable and loved. Because I think about it, like Tom Petty doesn't have necessarily the most appealing singing voice, right? He can hit the notes, and
I think it's okay.
yeah, it's distinct, and I think it's good. But I mean, he didn't like get famous for singing. You know what I mean? And his songs are all really, really good melodically, but they follow some pretty simple chord structures and stuff a lot of the time. But I feel like his real strength, his real way to pull an audience in, and the reason he's become such a rock legend is because all of his songs are so relatable and have such mass appeal while still feeling so personal and specific. Also, just to talk about how he's maybe not the world's greatest singer. Here's a fun fact about I Won't Back Down. He said, at the recording session, George Harrison sang and played the guitar. I had a terrible cold that day, and George went to the store and bought a ginger root, boiled it, and had me stick my head into the pot to get the ginger steam to open up my sinuses. And then I ran in and did the take.
Wild.
So when you listen to I Won't Back Down, you're hearing ginger snot Tom Petty. But he sounds great. I mean, it worked. George is a pro.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is. George is in the music video alongside Ringo. Tom Petty got half the Beatles in the music video for I Won't Back Down. He wasn't on the recording, though. Ringo was just eye candy in the video. He did not play the drums on the song. And this is the one that Sam Smith accidentally ripped off. Both Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne get 12.5% of Sam Smith's royalties. That's a whole quarter of the song that went to them.
That's a lot.
It sure is. Popular song, I Won't Back Down, with sports teams, politics. Given the messaging, makes a lot of sense. You know, another song that's experienced a just unthinkable boost in popularity in the last year or so is track 3, Love is a Long Road. This one has just exploded lately. Did you know Love is a Long Road prior to sometime in early December of last year?
I think so.
Okay, I did not.
Well, I'm trying to think what you're referencing.
Well, when it came out, Love is a Long Road started out as a B-side to Free Fallin'. So it got out, it got all the sales with Free Fallin', and it did modestly well. Love is a Long Road hit number 7 on the Album Rock Tracks chart, but it really exploded in 2023 because it's the song featured in the first trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh.
Yeah, the trailer dropped in December of 2023, uses this song, makes sense because the game is going to be set in a fictionalized version of Florida, and also it's about roads. So there you go.
And it's going to be a long time before it comes out.
It sure will. It's a long road waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6. Maybe when the game is out, we'll listen back to this podcast and be like, remember before? But anyway, when the trailer dropped, Love is a Long Road Spotify streams jumped by 36,979%.
Oh, wow.
Almost 37,000%. It jumped from 5 million streams to 40 million streams over the course of a few months. Today, it's over 55 million streams and counting.
That's crazy.
I know, in the last 8 months, roughly, it has multiplied its total Spotify streams by 11.
I actually haven't watched the GTA 6 trailer, so...
Really? I've watched it enough for both of us.
I must have known this song before then.
Yeah, surely you did. It's wild. Actually, fun fact, Mike Campbell, a Heartbreaker, co-wrote Love is a Long Road. So, kind of like a Heartbreakers cut anyway. One of those solo but not so solo tracks. He was a motorcycle guy, big biker, and he took inspiration from that for the song. He said, I was really into that frame of mind. This feels like a motorcycle shifting gears. And I think it does. Love is a Long Road has a really cool build to it. It starts off soft with this piano part, and then we just kind of bump into, bigger, better, more distorted and guitar-focused sections of song. It's got a really cool dynamic edge to it. It's all about a guy who's waiting on a girl. He likes her. Will she like him? Maybe, but he's going to have to wait for it. Love's going to be a long road. It's going to test his patience. Honestly, I'm glad it's kind of finally getting the attention that I think it would deserve. It is an awesome song. I think it's one of the best on this album.
Really? You're putting that one as like the best one?
One of the best, not the best, good grief. But in an album of 12 tracks, yeah, it's probably in my top 6.
Oh yeah, I'd give it top half. It's another one that the instrumentals really get me pumped up. That bump 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 bump.
Yes.
Just it drives you forward.
Yeah, this is one where I especially feel that Jeff Lynne ELO production touch. This doesn't sound like, I mean, it does sound like a rock song, but it sounds like an ELO type rock song more than an older Tom Petty kind of rock song. There's a cool guitar solo in the middle. Just a lot of fun. So you're 3 for 3 on songs that you knew.
Yeah.
Impressive. What about A Face in the Crowd?
Yeah.
Wow, 4 for 4. A Face in the Crowd was the 4th single. Hit number 46 on the Hot 100.
We're getting into ballad territory. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
how would I not know it?
I know. That's fair. It's the first time this album really slows down significantly. It's kind of a nice song. It's pretty simple, lyrically, about falling in love with someone who started out as a stranger, just a face in the crowd, and then really kind of fell into his life out of nowhere. Out of a dream, out of the sky, into my heart, into my life. It's really sweet. I think what sells A Face in the Crowd for me is the guitar lead line. There's some cool chords, but the dun 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 is just really what hooks me for this one. And I like his pacing too. The phrases are so broken up and short. I think it's a nice change. Like some of the "you were just" is 3 syllables that he gets for like a full couple measures.
Yeah, it really lets you soak in the instrumentals. You're living in those beats between his lyrics.
Yeah.
And he uses a couple a phrase here or there to kind of drive you forward, and then let you live in the next little batch of just sound that is encompassing you.
Yeah, you get a chance to digest exactly what he's just said before he hits you with something new. I like it a lot. It's a comfortable song, A Face in the Crowd is. It's a little quieter, a little softer, but pretty easy to listen to. And then we kind of get the start of Runnin Down A Dream feels a little jumpy compared to it. Ba-bum-ba-bum-ba-bum. Like, we just kind of bounce all over that lower intro riff, which is really interesting. It's kind of a little bit of whiplash, which snaps you right out of it. Did you know Runnin Down A Dream?
Who doesn't know this one?
Some people don't.
This is another one I feel like a lot of people know.
It's more popular.
Especially that chorus.
Running down a dream. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more popular.
I mean, and anybody who's watched King of the Hill knows Lucky says, "I'm going to help you run down that dream, Bobby," when trying to help Bobby accomplish his dream of getting a freshly made corn chip off the production line.
That's true. Yeah, that is a little nod to Tom Petty's real life that they snuck into King of the Hill. Also, it kind of reminds me of that Elvis movie, Follow That Dream. It feels like Runnin Down a Dream is just that reskinned. Maybe Elvis incepted this song into Tom Petty. Runnin Down a Dream was the 2nd single from Full Moon Fever. It hit number 23 in Canada and in the US. And like a few of those other songs, it topped the album Rock Tracks chart. Runnin Down a Dream, yeah, like you said, it's been in King of the Hill, but it's also been in a lot of other things.
It's also in Guitar Hero 5.
It was in Guitar Hero, yep.
And GTA San Andreas, I believe, on the rock station.
Oh, it may be. I don't know.
As a big fan of San Andreas.
Yeah, but not even watching the trailer for 6.
Yeah, why get myself hyped up and then have to wait for a long time?
Fair enough. I like that Grand Theft Auto likes Tom Petty, is what that seems to be to me.
Or they know something about Tom Petty that we don't.
Maybe. They probably definitely ask for permission, though. I would bet money on that. But the song has also been used in the NBA Finals. It's been used in NASCAR, Tom Hanks movie soundtracks.
You know what really cracks me up? You're right. They absolutely asked for permission.
Yeah.
Which means Tom Petty was totally, or whoever's in charge of the Tom Petty music nowadays, was totally fine with being associated with Grand Theft Auto, but not with tires.
Not tires. Nope.
That's where they draw the line.
It's a little too specific. Yeah. You got to get more of the car in there before Tom Petty's okay with it.
And preferably steal it.
Well, it steals the show, that's for sure. Runnin Down a Dream is a classic. Good old rock feeling. It's the feeling of rock and roll. I just like the energy of it.
Yeah, I mean.
Get some woo-woos, some more guitar solos.
Yeah, the distant cousin of O-Wo's.
Woo-woos. Yeah, you're right. Pretty similar. And then, depending on the medium you used to listen to this album, you may have encountered a little hidden track kind of in between Runnin Down a Dream and Feel a Whole Lot Better. It is called, roughly, Attention CD Listeners. I love it. It's a silly little tongue-in-cheek interlude, a little nod to how music at the time was changing and how formats are different from cassette to vinyl to CD. They're all unique. It's only on CDs and apparently also on digital versions of the record now too. But what happens, I mean, all the music cuts away. There's nothing. It's just Tom Petty recording a little blurb, and he says, "We've come to that point in the album where those listening on cassette or record will have to stand up or sit down and turn over the record or the tape. In fairness to those listeners, we'll now take a few seconds before we begin side 2. Thank you. Here's side 2. And then it jumps into the next half of the album.
Which is pretty funny.
Very funny. It's incredible. And what's funny about it, I think, is that it's meant to like make the cassette and the CD equal, but I feel like it gives an edge to the CD because how fun, how funny.
You get more Tom Petty.
To have this little extra bit. You get more Tom Petty if you get the CD. But, in fairness to those listeners who are listening to our podcast on vinyl or on tape.
We will now take a brief moment before moving on to track 6.
Yes. Thank you. Here is track 6. Feel a Whole Lot Better is up next.
We waited a whole 10 minutes. I don't know how much of that will make it into the actual episode.
A whole 10 minutes, I know.
We sat here for 10 minutes.
Enough time to flip over the record, that's for sure. Even if you were like 8 minutes away from it. Feel a Whole Lot Better is unique because it's the record's one and only cover. It's written by Gene Clark, and it was performed originally by the Byrds. It's from their iconic and probably best-known album, Mr. Tambourine Man.
Are we sure they were real?
The Byrds? Yeah, the Byrds were real. They were not Foo Birds.
So I might need to get Dave Grohl back in here.
This is a Foo Birds cover, I guess.
Technically.
Because it's not really the Byrds. Anyway, Gene Clark talked about writing the song, about Feel a Whole Lot Better, and he said, "There was a girlfriend I had known at the time when we were playing at Ciro's nightclub. It was a weird time in my life because everything was changing so fast and I knew we were becoming popular. This girl was a funny girl, she was kind of a strange little girl, and she started bothering me a lot. And I just wrote the song, I'm Gonna Feel a Whole Lot Better When You're Gone, and that's all it was, but I wrote the whole song within a few minutes. That's what it's about, being annoyed by someone and just thinking of how your life would improve when they were away." Tom Petty, of course, was a teenager when this song came out. It came out in 1965. He was probably about 15, and he wanted to pay tribute to his roots and his inspirations with this cover. His version peaked at number 18 on the US rock chart, so that's a nice little tribute. Did you know Feel a Whole Lot Better?
I did not.
You didn't.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it kind of does. Maybe. That's the first one you haven't known.
Yeah, not that popular of a song.
I mean, I guess not. Only 8 million Spotify streams. I like it a lot. I like the sound of it.
It was pretty cool.
I don't know. I just like the vibes. And I think it's a great way to start the second side of the record. Kind of get us back into the flow right away.
Yeah, it's a great starter. Again, remembering that this would have been like after a brief pause to switch the cassette over or flip the record.
Yeah, I think honestly putting attention CD listeners in the middle there really kind of does produce the same effect for us because we have to wait for it too. We could just skip ahead, I guess, but it's not the same. Okay, so you finally missed one. Did you know Yer So Bad?
Yep.
Okay.
Again, I feel like this would be pretty high on the list of songs everybody could, like if you were doing like a Family Feud named Tom Petty song thing, that I feel like this one would be up there in the top 8, you know.
Top 8 Tom Petty songs? Really?
I would have thought so. I mean, looking at the
No
Spotify
way.
plays, maybe not, but I feel like I've heard this a ton.
Maybe.
I don't know, which 8 would you put?
Tom Petty's 8 biggest songs. That's a hard question. Free Fallin's going to be one, and I Won't Back Down is going to be one.
Yeah.
I think you have to include Mary Jane's Last Dance. I think you have to include Learning to Fly. I think you have to include The Waiting. Don't Do Me Like That is also pretty close. Refugee is pretty close. Into the Great Wide Open. That's up there. You Wreck Me.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you've named a couple that I forgot about. Maybe it doesn't quite make top 8.
No.
Because it would have come in at number 8.
But it's not, you're right, it's not far out.
This list of 50 greatest Tom Petty songs, it comes in at number 43.
Yeah, okay, see?
But I feel like I've heard it a ton. Like, I don't know. This one feels more prevalent to me than some of the ones you named.
Well, that might be. I mean, Yer So Bad was Full Moon Fever's 5th and final single. And it did also fittingly make it to number 5 on the Album Rock Tracks chart. And one of the things about this one is it's got a music video, which may be a big factor in its popularity. It's also a pretty catchy song, I gotta admit. It's not one that I knew coming into this, but I think it's a lot of fun. It's about the speaker's sister who marries a yuppie, or less casually, a young urban professional, right? A business type, someone, I don't know, in tech, a crypto bro, some upwardly mobile ambitious young gentleman who is rich and all that. And then she cleans him out, takes all his money, and they divorce, and she gets everything. So she's living the high life. Meanwhile, her yuppie ex-husband is in a downward spiral with his head in the oven, very literally. And the speaker just gets to be happy because he's got a woman so good, he knows something similar won't ever happen to him. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Probably, I will admit, and I'll give you this, Yer So Bad may be the best song about yuppies, period.
Yeah, probably. On a Family Feud style game show of best yuppie
Name
songs.
a song about yuppies?
Top answer.
Number one answer. Good answer. Good answer. I like it a lot. I think it's got a good amount of bite to it, but still kind of that good old-fashioned Tom Petty humor. I especially like the chorus. There's a nice little shift into minor chords there that's really cool. I also like how many backup vocals he has on this song. It's like he's got a whole choir of people that get to sing Not Me, Baby. So you did know You're So Bad. I guess that's 6 out of 12. You truly did know half of it already. We're only 7 tracks in. What about Depending on You?
No.
You did not know Depending on You. I was depending on you to know it. What's the verdict? Do you like it? It was kind of a pleasant surprise for me from this album.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I think so too.
I mean, there's not really a bad song on this album.
No, yeah, it's true. You're right.
Just not as good as what it could be, knowing what Tom Petty can achieve.
I guess. Are you judging it against his potential or what it actually is?
Well, that's what I said. Like in terms of all songs we've done on this podcast, it's a good one compared to all songs on this album. Bottom half.
I don't want to put any of these songs in the bottom half.
Yeah, but half of them gotta go there. That's how it works.
I know. It's a tough cut if that's the case. One thing I particularly like about Depending on You is the simple, really prominent 2-part harmony in the pre-chorus. I think that's really unique, and it gives a lot to the song.
In a Family Feud style game show where we had to name the top 6 songs on this album, don't think this one would make the cut.
No, maybe not. Well, what about the Apartment song then? If Dependent on You is not it, does that make the cut somewhere? The back half of the album, I mean, it's competing with some heavyweights. It does have a lot less Spotify plays, and I'm sure it's on the whole less popular.
Yeah, it's very front-loaded.
Yeah.
But I did know the Apartment song.
You did. That's wild. That's kind of a deep cut.
Well, I live in an apartment, so
Oh, well.
this is like my anthem.
I don't need to listen to the Apartment song. I live it. I think it is maybe a little front-loaded as an album, but it's not front-loaded in the same way that Traveler was front-loaded, where the back half is bloated. I think Tom Petty's is a lot leaner of a front-loaded album because everything's still very good. It's just not the greatest hits at the back end. They're still good, but man, you just can't compete with the first 6, 7, 8 tracks.
Yeah.
I like the Apartment song. It's Tom Petty's tribute to Buddy Holly and the rockabilly style that he fell in love with from the mid-1950s. And you can kind of feel it. It's very straightforward, very throwback kind of style. It's more of that simple chord structure. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's All Right for Now. How did you feel about All Right for Now? Another slower song, another ballad type. The last of the ballad types you'll really get.
I think it is my least favorite of the ballads.
Ooh, not awful, and I don't even disagree. What ones are you counting as ballads?
Mainly
Is it
comparing that.
just this and a face in the crowd?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, flip a coin. Yeah, this one's worse than a face in the crowd. Sure.
But it has that really cool section at around the 1 minute mark that I really like.
With all the harmonies.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
And he goes into the floaty, all right for now.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Yeah, I know. It is beautiful. And it's so short. It's 2 minutes even, making it the shortest song on this album, actually. One of the things I love about it is how well the melody of the guitar that he's picking out follows his vocal. It feels very, almost like a proper folk song instead of any kind of a rock song. And I really admire that range. I actually think maybe I do like it better than a face in the crowd. Maybe we were kind of wrong.
That's why I hesitated. You know, I was kind of wishy-washy about saying that, but I think I'm going to go with a face in the crowd.
Okay, well, I'll go with All Right for Now, and we'll just butt heads on the ballads, perhaps. Well, you know what song is absolutely not a ballad? It's another song that jolts you right awake. A Mind with a Heart of Its Own. What an interesting phrase. Is this one that you knew? Have you ever heard the phrase, a mind with a heart of its own?
No.
Me either. And it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. But don't think too much about it, is what I have to say about that. if you start trying to really dig into it.
No, I like the idea. It's so fun to take the common phrase "heart with a mind of its own"
Yeah,
and flip it on its head.
that's true. I mean, I guess I don't really think of a heart with a mind of its own as a common phrase.
Really?
I think of things that have a mind of their own, but I don't often hear it about hearts. When you put it like that, though, yeah, it is a fun little linguistic twist. Like you want to make intelligent, intellectual decisions, and they end up being emotional.
The more common, I guess, phrase would be the heart wants what the heart wants, but it's basically the same thing.
That's true.
Same implication. Heart with a mind of its own means basically the heart's making its own decisions, regardless of what the brain is telling it.
Yeah, and then a mind with the heart of its own is unable to make its own decisions because the heart is guiding it either way. Either way, the heart's getting what it wants, is basically what that boils down to.
Yeah.
Your heart will be satisfied.
The heart is a manipulative organ.
I guess it is. It manipulates all your blood.
Yeah, it'll just have an attack. You don't give it what it wants. Like good blood flow.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, what a diva. A Mind with a Heart of Its Own almost feels like a danceable song. It's just got such a bopping groove to it. Of all the songs on this album, it may be the one you're most likely to hear on a dance floor.
I don't know, I hear Free Fallin' on the dance floor.
What kind of dances are you doing?
I don't know, it's almost ballady.
You're right, I guess it kind of is.
I feel like I heard it at one of our high school or middle school dances.
Certainly possible.
That'd be the only time I've been to a real dance. Maybe a college formal. Dances aren't really that big of a thing anymore.
No, I feel like once you age out past a certain level, like that just doesn't happen.
Why is that? Why is it still such a big deal to send a bunch of high schoolers and middle schoolers to awkward dances when they're not going to ever encounter those in the real life?
So they can listen to good music like Free Fallin' and Cotton Eye Joe.
Imagine if like every year your work had an annual ball you had to attend.
Oh, work ball.
It's like, oh man, good thing I got all that practice.
You got to go ask your coworkers. You do like a promposal to your coworkers.
Well, I would imagine you would bring like your wife or girlfriend if you had one.
Probably. But what if you didn't and you just had to do a big promposal?
Work prosel.
Oh, ew. Yeah, that doesn't have the same a promotion.
Oh, that's where all the promotions are given out. Is that the work prom?
Oh, that's really good. A prom where they just give out promotions. That's an awful idea.
And the amount of money you get is based on your dance skills.
Oh, like a dance off for the promotion. But I bet everyone would show up.
Yeah, that's how they get everybody to show up, right? You get your promotion if you attend. If you don't
If you attend the prom. Well, that's a mind with a heart of its own. An interesting concept.
We have two minds and two hearts of our own on this podcast.
That's true.
Actually, only one. The other mind and heart is shared. It's not of its own.
Confusing.
Almost as confusing as a zombie zoo.
Yeah, Zombie Zoo is the last track.
Is it a zoo with zombie animals? Is it a zoo filled with just zombies? Because that's pretty old, pretty quick. They're kind of all the same.
I was going to ask you the same question. I don't know.
Unless it's like Left 4 Dead zombies where they're all different. Like you have your spitters and your jockeys and your witches. Blanking on the other names of zombies from Left 4 Dead that I should definitely be remembering right now. But, you know, my point stands.
Yeah, maybe. You're dancing at it, so whatever it is, it's entertaining.
Practicing for my yearly race.
That's it. Yeah, I got to get really good at the Cupid Shuffle. I'm expecting a manager position this time.
If I can master the Cotton Eye Joe, that manager position is all mine.
That's why they teach you in 5th grade. It's for the workforce. It's good practice.
That's what I'm saying, though. We do so much dancing in school for no reason.
That's true. I don't know. I think Zombie Zoo is maybe it's zombies at a zoo of animals.
Oh, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
A zoo for zombie attendants. Wow.
Yeah. I think they would have fun looking at the animals and, hey, think about all the unique brains that you could eat if you got in there. Zombie Zoo is an interesting track. I feel like it's just kind of here to be here. It feels like it's just fun, a little lighthearted, kind of rocky, kind of just puts a cap on the album in a pretty casual way. That's fine.
It's fine.
It also kind of ties back to the full moon thing a little bit with like werewolves and other, I don't know, traditional Halloween-y kind of creatures. There's not a lot of full moon imagery on this album despite being called Full Moon Fever.
Yeah, I know, right?
So I guess, yeah, maybe Zombie Zoo is all we really have to hang our full moon hats on. Overall, though, quick listen. I mean, it's like 40 minutes. These songs are mostly relatively short. I think they're all really fun. Let's get into some final spin.
Let's do it.
Obviously, some of the biggest Tom Petty hits of all time reside on Full Moon Fever, and that's hard to overlook. I mean, you could cut everything but his greatest hits and still have just an incredible album. And the rest of the stuff still is solid. I think I'm giving the music a 91. The music is, like I said, chord structure-wise, composed pretty simply, but Tom Petty has such a knack for finding the most compelling melodies in those chord patterns, and he really does a good job of bringing them to the forefront. Each of these songs is very unique, very distinct, and honestly, super memorable and sing-alongable. Like, from the title alone, each of these titles is worked into a hook so effectively that you could practically sing the lead line just by hearing the title, and that is cool. 91 for music. Lyrics are getting an 86. Generally, I think they're on the better side. I don't really have too many complaints about them. There are some that, like Apartment Song, I guess, or Feel a Whole Lot Better, or You're So Bad, that don't do a lot for me, but that's fine. I mean, there's enough in Free Fallin' and I Won't Back Down and Love Is a Long Road and Facing the Crowd and Running Down a Dream and Feel a Whole Lot Better. Like, a lot makes up for it, you know? It's very supported by all that. So 86 for lyrics, 95 for instruments and production. Jeff Lynne's Golden Touch really, I think, brings this album to life in a unique way. It's got a lot of energy. It's got a lot of nuance. I mean, there's a lot of differences between a song like I Won't Back Down and, you know, A Mind with a Heart of Its Own or All Right for Now, but they still fit together so well. It's a very cohesive album, really good. 95 for instruments and production. Big fan of this one. And I'm giving it a 93 for the vibe. I like it a lot. There was only one cover, so Tom Petty still gets his bonus point, and that gives Full Moon Fever an overall score of 91.3, putting it at number 66, above Mothership by Dance Gavin Dance and below Tapestry by Carole King. So a very solid top 100 from Tom Petty here. You can understand why this album set me on a Tom Petty kick. I mean, it was kind of a 1-2 punch, a 1-2-3 punch of listening to this album for the first time, the Grand Theft Auto trailer coming out, and then for Christmas I got a Tom Petty greatest hits record. And so I was done, you know what I mean? It was a losing battle if I tried to resist Tom Petty. So I just went with it. And here we are.
Here we are.
And you knew most of Full Moon Fever ahead of time. So
Sure did.
I'm guessing that's a pretty strong start from you.
Sure is. I kind of showed my hand earlier when I said it wasn't really a bad song on the album.
That's true.
So this one's getting nine pieces of advice from my lawyer that I'm going to ignore.
That's a long unit. 9 does not surprise me, even a little bit. I'm glad that I could bring you like 3 new Tom Petty songs. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and it's gonna go right above Vampire Weekend.
Interesting. I guess putting zombies and vampires and full moons together makes sense.
I think Tom Petty as an artist would go higher on my list, but this album, that's where it falls.
That's already pretty high.
It's pretty high, but it would be a little higher without some of that back half. I mean, it was, like you said, it was lean, but it was still there.
It's like your 23rd highest score you've given.
Yeah, and I'm saying my love for Tom Petty and for the front half of this album would probably have put it right up there around the Phil Collins, Barry Manilow, Billy Joel, Elton John category. Like, he is one of my top artists, actually.
Whoa. You've never mentioned, I feel like you never talk about him.
Yeah. I mean, how often do I talk about Billy Joel or Journey or Phil Collins? I mean,
A lot.
do I?
I mean, you brought Journey and you talk about Billy Joel enough, and I knew Elton John was one of your favorites, and yeah, totally. I feel like this was, I knew you probably would like it or know a lot of it. I had no idea you'd put him in the category with all of those top 9s.
Yeah, if I was like making a Tom Petty episode out of his songs.
A career classics, a greatest hits, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if any of his albums could score higher than this. I mean, this is his most critically successful, and it's probably got the greatest concentration of great hits.
It'd be hard, but it's possible.
Maybe.
It's battling against the upper half. I think there are other songs that the back half of this album would rank lower than the non-hits off of other albums.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is the hits off other albums aren't going to beat the hits on this one.
Probably not.
Other than a couple. There's a couple individual songs, but they're spread out on different albums, right? This is, like you said, the highest concentrated dose of hits.
Yep. And poor Heartbreakers don't even get to be a part of it. Tom Petty was the heartbreaker for them.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they were heartbroken when he said, I'm doing my best album ever solo. And you guys can still come and play on it, but I'm not going to put your name on the front.
As for my top 3.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
In album order, Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down.
Yep.
Honorable mention, Love Is a Long Road.
Yep.
And Runnin' Down a Dream.
Okay. Skipping over A Face in the Crowd. And are you stopping there?
Yeah, I'm going to control myself.
Wow. Again, impressed.
Well, the next 2 episodes, I want my picks for.
That's very wise. I thought you might.
Again, the order of the episodes you've picked have made me want to control myself this week.
That's fair. I thought you'd have full moon fever.
I'm a little hot.
Temperature's rising.
I'm a little high.
Low grade full moon fever. Well, which of those 4 songs is going to be your pick for the playlist?
If I had my way, it'd be Free Fallin' and Running Down a Dream.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were going to say Free Fallin' and I Won't Back Down.
Well, I didn't.
No, you did not. It's hard because I feel like Free Fallin' has to just be a gimme.
Free Fallin's a gimme, I feel like.
But I also, I Won't Back Down and Running Down a Dream are both so good.
They're both so good and they're both similar.
Both down. They're both down songs.
Yeah.
If I had it my way,
I feel like I Won't Back Down's more similar to Free Falling than Running Down a Dream.
with the big hey versus Free Fallin'. You're right, but it's so good.
I mean, we can take it.
No.
All I know is it was a beautiful day.
Was it now?
I don't remember the second line.
The sun beat
When
down.
the sun beat down, I think.
Yeah. Had the radio on. You were driving.
I knew the third line. I couldn't remember the second one. It escaped me there for a minute.
Trees went by. You and Dell were singing Little Runaway. Fine. Free Fallin' and Running Down a Dream.
It feels sad to leave I Won't Back Down off, but I think...
We did back down.
Well, I didn't. I got what I wanted.
Oh, I backed down. You're right. I guess I had no right to pick I Won't Back Down. I just backed down. Thought about trying to take Love is a Long Road too. There's just too many good songs on this one. One of those we're just going to have to rip off the Band-Aid and pick something.
Mm-hmm. Well, are we forgetting anything? Top 3, unit, score, your score, playlist picks. No, I think it's time to tell them about us. The usual plugs.
About us. No doubt. Well, first of all,
The usual?
yeah.
You're supposed to... It's supposed to be the usual? The usual.
Oh, what's that? Is that a reference to something?
It's a reference to something.
Is it something I know?
Probably not.
Did you get permission to use it, or are we going to have to ask for forgiveness?
Forgiveness.
Okay, see? You can find Spin It wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, do all the fun things. Give us a rating, leave a comment, say hey. You can find more of us on social media at Spin It Pod Official on Instagram, at Spin It Pod on X, and as always on the web at www.spinitpod.com. Really wild episodes coming up. I'm very excited. Tune in next week to hear Connor say something silly like this.
I mean, I could be a whumper.
Watch your mouth. And we will see you next time. Hey, tell 145,200 of your closest friends about the podcast this week, and ask all your lawyers for forgiveness. Or, well, you get it.
No, I don't think you asked the lawyers for forgiveness. I think the lawyers asked forgiveness for you to whoever you've wronged.
Well, if you've wronged your lawyers, ask them for forgiveness, I guess. And
if you wronged your lawyers by not taking their advice of asking for permission, ask them for
their
forgiveness.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever you do, until we see you next week,
Keep spinning.
Do you think this episode would be on the Family Feud board for the top episodes of Spin It?
I was just about to ask you that, actually. I was going to say, it'd be really fun to put a poll out there and then have like an independent third party collect the results and make a little Family Feud board for us to try to guess the top episodes.
Oh man, that would be hard. I like them all. They're all like my little episode children.
Man, you have a lot of kids. We can't ever get divorced, or one of us is going to have a heck of a child support payment.
That's, hey, you know what? I'll just ask for forgiveness.
Well, I won't back down.
Keep an eye on your house.
Were you threatening arson?
Promising.
Oh.
I'm promising. Not a threat, it's a promise.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, I've got full moon fever.